Thank you for listening to the Speaking Out on Sex Abuse podcast with hosts Clara and Jimmy Hinton. If you're new to the podcast, please look us up on your favorite podcast app, subscribe, like, and share so that you never miss an episode. If you'd like to further support us, visit patreon.com/speakingout and check out the different rewards. You'll find exclusive rewards if you sign up as a patron of the podcast. Thank you for your support, and let's get into the show. Welcome to this week's podcast. Thank you, as always, to our patrons who make the podcast possible. It is May, and what do we have for May, Granny?
It is May 2nd, and we have snow
It's
in the
snowing
hills
today.
of Pennsylvania. I have a coat. I have a sweater. I have long sleeves. I have long pants. I'm bundled up with double socks. Had the heat on full blast last night.
We had, I think, a wind chill of 25 or something this morning. I looked out. We had about an inch of snow.
Yes.
Not much, but...
No, but enough that my pear tree was in full blossom. Bye-bye pears.
They might survive. Who knows?
Oh, I don't know.
We'll find out this summer.
I guess we'll see.
So, we wanted to do a little motivational thing and just talk about our attitude towards life, because that really does make a difference in our outcome,
Yes.
in the way we live life, our jobs, whether we're grateful or ungrateful. And we've been on both sides of that coin.
Yeah,
we have good days and bad days.
Yeah, I think everybody goes through that. I don't care how great the job is. There are bad days and there are badder days.
Yeah.
And then there are some good days.
And then, of course, all the struggles just in this world. Certainly survivors of abuse have many, many struggles. But then, you hear stories of overcoming. And you hear stories where people thrive and they're doing great. And we always say, I think we've said this from the very beginning, past abuse doesn't define who you are.
Right. And I think that's so important to be reminded of that constantly.
Right. So we'd be lying if we didn't tell you that we're both Steve Harvey groupies.
I just really like that man.
We like Steve
his
Harvey.
attitude. Yes, I love his attitude.
His story of how he became famous and wealthy, successful, I guess is a better way to put that. I think the wealth and fame is a byproduct of him just being successful and just grinding and working hard and believing that God was going to carry him through. He talks about his faith, and he's pretty open about that. But we were just watching a short YouTube motivational talk by Steve Harvey, and he said, change the way you think. He said, we all are where we are today because we thought ourselves to this position. I thought that was a powerful statement.
It is powerful.
And it's true.
It's also very biblical.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, your job, my job, like it or lump it, we are where we are because we thought ourselves to be here. So he said our brain is divided into two sides. And he said you have the good side, the good and positive side, and you have the bad and evil side. And I love how he explained this. He said you have a foreman on each side of the brain, and he's got millions of workers on each side. So there's a good foreman, there's an evil foreman. He said, imagine you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I don't want to be at work. I don't want to be here. I just want to lay down. I don't like people. My car's crappy.
I hate my job.
Yeah, I don't want to sit in traffic. So he said, imagine you're the boss. You're in control of the foreman and all the workers. And the foreman says, hey, yo, workers. Boss doesn't feel like working. He doesn't like any of you. He doesn't even want to be here today. Get to work. And he said, of course, they get to work. And they have to justify. So he said they have to justify that type of a response and say, hey, we're working for this boss. And so what do? They they grumble, and that forms your thoughts
Right.
throughout the whole day. And he said your brain never stops working 24/7. You're formulating thoughts. He said, but imagine on the other side, you wake up and you say, man, isn't it good to be alive? I might not have everything put together, but I'm alive, I'm awake, and big things are going to happen today. I'm thankful for this car that gets me from point A to point B. And even if I don't have a car, I have my 2 feet and I can walk to the train station.
I loved that when you said that.
And
right.
I know things are just going to happen today. Things are going to fall into place. Great things are coming today. And he says, the foreman says, hey, yo, workers.
I love that too.
Boss man says today's a good day. He's happy. He's in a good mood. He says big things are going to happen today. And then those workers start to work.
I love that. And there are scriptures, like I said, that just are so on target with this type of thinking. As a man thinketh, so is he. Think on these things, whatsoever is pure and holy and good, and on and on and on. So we will be. We are what we think. The words that come out of our mouth is a product of what's on our hearts, in our minds. When you think about it, these are all godly principles for us to follow, and they work. I was a master at worrying and a master of negativity for a while in my life, especially following the losses of a baby due to stillbirth and Mike, and financial loss and on and on and on, marital loss. And until I began changing my thinking, I was miserable. And I think we can all identify with that. Our thoughts do change us. We can wake up and say, man, look, it's May 2nd. It's a crappy day. It's snowing out there. I hate it. I hate this weather. I hate everything. And we can have a miserable day, or we can wake up and say, you know what? This isn't new for Somerset County.
Yeah.
We've had snow before in May. Spring is coming. Or like you said, some of the pears will survive. Some of the, on that tree.
Yeah, wait and see.
So
Who knows?
Wait and see.
Yeah.
And, actually find the beauty in the day. Our thoughts are responsible for that, for who we are, where we are.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I woke up this morning, of course, it's no secret that I love the cold, but I looked out the window and I was like, how beautiful. I mean, honestly, like, you have all the colors, you have the trees that are all starting to bud, and like I'm looking out the window now and there's like all these super colorful buds on the trees, and then you have this little light blanket of snow that just makes those colors pop. And I was like, it was so pretty. So
I woke
I just
up and
stood watching out the window.
saw my cat in the window going, meow, meow. I was saying, it's cold out here. And give me something warm to eat. But, all joking aside, we either think our way through some of the stuff that we have and find something to be grateful for. Gratitude has a big part in how we live our lives. Or we can sit in the mire, so to speak, and say, well, my life sucks. Look at me. Look where I am. And it's everybody else's fault but mine. Look what happened to me. Look at the lot in life I was dealt. It's not fair. And by the way, God never promised fairness to any of us.
Well, and it's easy to conclude that, too, when you've legitimately been abused and taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
It's easy to say, you know what, like at this point in my life, I'm just a doormat, and bad things are destined to happen to me. Like it's
very easy to
think
get
that way.
Into that mindset. Pain does that to us.
Sure.
Pain changes how we think, and we've all, any of us know that to be true. When we're living with chronic pain, whether it's mental or physical, it's very hard to get up in the morning and say, yay, yay, another day of pain. It's extremely hard.
Yeah.
But until we find I'll call it wisdom and strength to begin changing our thinking, we will remain in that, whether it's mental or physical pain.
Well, yeah, I'll repeat the line that
Yeah.
Harvey said. We all are where we are today because we thought ourselves into this position. And I want to say too, with a caveat, I am the farthest thing from a health and a wealth, message that if you just put faith in God, all this wealth will come. And if you just think happy thoughts, your life will turn around. And I think even Steve Harvey would say that's absolutely not true. He says it begins with your thoughts. You think what the destination is, and then you work your tail off to make that happen.
Absolutely.
There's no such thing as success dropping into people's laps or overcoming severe abuse and saying, "Oh, I just thought happy thoughts and now I'm better." There is no such thing. And so his point is begin with your attitude and be grateful. And I love what Denzel Washington says too. He says, always put your slippers underneath your bed so that in the morning you have to get on your knees to pull your slippers out. Get on your knees and thank God.
And I appreciate him being a man of such prominence in the world of acting. He gives all his thanks to God, and he makes no beans about it.
And he talks too about having to work and work to become successful. And he said, he never chased money or fame. He always began with thanksgiving and thanked God that God gave him a talent. And he said, I promise not to squander this talent you've given me. I recognize this gift. I recognize this talent, and I will not squander it. I will not keep it to myself. And so, from that position, that's how he began to build his success. He never cared about money.
No, and we're not talking about money here. What we're talking about is really our position in life in conjunction with abuse. And when you think about it, that's one of the worst kinds of pain ever, to have been abused. And that's a trauma and a pain. And we know that it takes hard work often to get beyond the physical parts of trauma and pain, let alone the mental parts. But there's no way that living in that negative, despondent state will help us. It definitely helps us on that journey to healing when we are thinking positive, when we're thinking healing thoughts, when we're thinking thoughts of gratitude. And I think that every person, no matter who we are or what we've been through, has a gift to give to the world. And that world may be a small world, our community, our family, whatever, or it can be a bigger world, such as the people that you've mentioned. But there's a gift that always comes out of pain, I believe. And sometimes, man, I know I've had long talks with God about the pain part. Part's not
nobody
easy.
likes it. Nobody wants to go through it.
No.
But there is something about that refining process where eventually you come out stronger, and you have to fight, and really you have to survive. You're surviving just from day to day. Man, these allergies have my nose all itchy.
I was doing the sneezing early this morning.
It's my eyes and nose are constant. But yeah, I mean, you almost have to claw your way out of those circumstances, but certainly changing your attitude and willing yourself to be in a better place is very helpful.
And whether that is our prompt to get better help, whether, thinking positively is our prompt to walk, get out, clear our minds in nature, whether it's to build friendships and bonds with others who have gone through like instances, that's where we gain a lot of strength too. Yeah. I can help you and you can help me because we identify in what we've been through.
Right.
So there are a number of ways that the positive thoughts help us. I love Steve Harvey's separation of the evil and with the the bad thoughts,
bad and
the
evil
positive with the pure thoughts. And the idea of having so-called factory workers. I worked in a factory as a teenager, and I understand the whole factory mindset. And when the foreman would walk through, you do what the foreman says.
and you better be working,
And you better be
not,
doing,
not propping your feet up.
oh yeah, no,
Right.
no, oh yeah. Definitely, it's hard work, and you're expected to work. But when you think of the positive side of that, it's pretty awesome because you think of all these millions of workers working with you to gain healing, to gain positivity, to gain health, to gain, all the positive things, a better attitude of gratitude, all those things. It's really awesome.
Yeah,
Really is.
it's incredible too what our mind is capable of doing, because I mean, you can will yourself to be sick, you can will yourself to die, you can will yourself to be chronically ill,
Yeah.
just by having that negative attitude. And then of course your body actually is becoming ill because all your thoughts are
Our
negative.
bodies respond to our thoughts.
Yeah, it puts so much stress on your entire system, and the converse of that is true too, where you can bring healing to yourself. We saw it with Michelle, my sister Michelle,
Definitely.
where she willed herself to get better
1,000,000% we saw
and
it.
fought and fought and
Yes.
fought and fought.
Yes. Yes.
When she was literally on life support.
Well,
And she talks about fighting.
every doctor around said she will not survive.
Yeah.
But she did. She is here. And, I have to believe that that was her mindset, that she was not going to leave this earth yet. Not yet. She had a young daughter to take care of and 2 other children.
Well, I think too, I mean, not to make, I mean, these are not political statements, just observations, but, it always drove me crazy, all these riots in the wake of the truly unjustified murders by police officers, that I think you'd be foolish to argue that that a lot of these murders were justified in any capacity.
No.
But rioting and burning innocent people's businesses and homes to the ground, looting businesses, forcing people to close what's putting food in the mouths of their family and other people's families, that's definitely not the way to go. And I heard, several family members being interviewed of the people who were murdered by police officers, and they said this isn't what our children would have wanted.
No.
They wouldn't want people rioting in the streets and burning things down. They would want people to come and console us and to tell us
Give comfort
that they're
and-
sorry.
Right. Exactly. Right.
And
Right.
and people ask them, like, have any of these riot organizers come and given their condolences to you? And they said not a single person. So it's those sorts of things, and the same is true. You could apply that to all kinds of different areas, but yeah, I mean, look at Haiti and how awful the state of Haiti is in right now. It's just in complete disrepair. We could cry wolf. We could cry how unjust the world is and it's unfair, and that their government's corrupt, which it is.
Right.
We could shout and talk about how the world's stacked against the good people of Haiti, or we could do something about it.
Right.
And we've chosen to do something about it. We've partnered actually with some of you who listen, and I just got pictures on Sunday, money that we sent over to Haiti, and there's a motorcycle that was purchased, and then our friend Julian he sent me pictures of hundreds of people eating hot cooked meals at their church service on Sunday morning. And he said, praise God. He said, it is so hard to get food in Haiti right now. And he said, because of the generosity of people, he said, these people are now eating.
It just, the smiles on the face of Julian and his wife were so big. You could just see such gratitude. and they're living in such dire straits. They truly are.
Yeah.
I don't know that I
But they
could
wake up
survive
thankful.
the daily life
Yep.
that they live, but they're extremely thankful, and they have servant hearts.
Yeah, well,
which
and,
is
and that's because they're
yeah,
thankful.
right,
Because
right.
he doesn't see, and I know because, I'm good friends with him. I talk to him almost on a daily basis, but he never views himself or anybody in Haiti as a victim of anything. For him, that's just the way things are.
Right.
He uses the word very poor. He said, we're very poor. We're very hungry. He said there are many, many needs in Haiti. And he says, but I pray to God that he'll find a way to help.
He's so
And
his attitude
that's
is just
all
yes.
like, so again, to echo what Steve Harvey said, we're all where we are today because we thought ourselves to this position. Julian thought himself into this position where he has transportation, reliable
Yes.
transportation. He's able to not only transport food, but he has the money to purchase food,
Yes.
and medicines and all sorts of stuff. And he thought that into existence. He verbalized that. I happened to be on the other end, and I said, you know what? Our church is so small and so cash strapped, and we've helped so many different needs for so many different people. I said, I want to reach outside of that and talk to our podcast audience. And I wrote a blog post and put it on Facebook. We had just multiple donations. There was one anonymous donation, $1,000. There was somebody handed me $600 cash and said, I don't want anybody to know who's behind this money.
That's so nice.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Use this for Julian.
Just
Every
really
penny
is.
of that went
Yeah.
to help him. There was another $500 anonymous donation from somebody who I know, but they said, do not tell anybody where this came from. We had, I think, 2 different $500 anonymous donations online.
Wow.
Just this
Yeah.
money started pouring in within a matter of like 14 days.
Yeah.
Simply because he didn't resign himself to starvation and say, this is just the way things are in Haiti.
And everyone who donated has lived or is living with some kind of pain and brokenness and saw beyond that, saw beyond it enough to give.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah,
what
they
makes
get it.
all of this beautiful.
Yeah.
It really does. We are all broken in some way, some more so than others, obviously. But in our brokenness, when we can become thankful for the blessings, and we are all surrounded by so many blessings, I think then we're able to have that heart that is like Julian
Yeah.
and want to serve others.
Yeah.
And he's definitely in a broken position, lives in a broken country, in a very poor country where getting food is not easy.
It's very, very challenging.
Every
right
time
now.
I
Just
walk into
so
our
bad.
stores, I think, man, I don't know if we understand how blessed we are. I know the prices are high, but the shelves are full of food after food after food after food
Yeah, we're not
after
going
food
hungry.
after food. No, and we have the ability to work for money for that food. Many of us have garden space. We can grow gardens. Think about the blessings that we have. I think that's important in any situation.
Yeah, I mean, you can make yourself a victim of anything, a perpetual victim, and just say, well, everybody's against me. Again, I'm not picking on anybody. I understand how we get caught in those cycles.
Oh, yeah.
But the good news is we can break those cycles because not everybody is an exploiter. Not everybody is an abuser. Not everybody is untrustworthy.
Right.
And I know I got so jumped for saying this before, but I'll say it again. I don't care. Not every cop is bad. Not every
Right.
pastor is
Yeah.
bad.
No.
There are good ones out there. And we need to
For
realize,
sure.
we need to stop saying that all churches are broken
Right.
and doomed and, have
Not
nothing to do
so.
with the church.
Right.
We've talked about this before in different podcasts, but we've got to change the narrative to how do we step in and how do we clean up what brokenness and what messes are within these organizations.
And who
And
better to know how to clean up the brokenness than those of us who have been broken?
right,
Because we know what the need is. We understand it
yeah,
more so than anybody.
and for the people, and again, this is, if you listen to podcasts, we talk about this a lot. Like, I fully stand with people who cannot physically step
Oh,
foot into a
yeah.
church.
Yes.
And so I'm not saying like, well, go into the church and fix it. No, find different avenues. If you're still a believer, find a group of people and meet in somebody's home, and find 5 people, 10 people. Find ways to connect to people, and focus on doing good instead of talking about how awful churches are and they're terrible, and
Right.
telling people to run from churches and run from everybody, because run from men. Men are untrustworthy. All men are
And
untrustworthy.
monsters.
I mean,
No.
or women
No,
for that
I
matter,
know.
or whatever. Like
I
pick
tease
your
about it,
pick
but
your box.
it's easy to fall into that when you've been traumatized
Sure.
and hurt
Yeah.
deeply
Yeah, it
by,
is.
it's very easy to grow bitter
Yeah.
also. I don't know who started the phrase years and years ago, better or bitter, and it's always stuck with me because I hated the word bitter. I never want to be called a bitter person. And at the end of my days, I thought about this years and years and years ago. I think what I want to be remembered as is a really nice person, a thankful person, not someone who got bitter at life. And I hope, I want to learn to live that way in my life. And all of us, I think, are striving for that. Really,
Yeah.
when you think about it, we don't want to be bitter, but we need to, just keep watch on the foreman, and we are the boss. We are the head of our thoughts. And I love that analogy. When we give that command for the day, let it be a positive one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all of us are capable of tremendous good, and and that's not to say there's definitely a time to lament. I think we have to acknowledge pain and sorrow and brokenness and oppression and all that stuff, and even be angry, be righteously angry towards those things, but we also can't let that determine the course of our life and say, well, I'll never amount to
Right.
anything. I'll never heal. I'll never get better. I'll never be able to trust people again. On and on and on, because
Right.
we're really programming ourselves for that kind of a future.
Right.
If we believe that about ourselves,
Right.
that we're not worthy of love, we're not worthy of respect, that
We will never
we're just
amount to anything.
yeah, we're just
I
getting dumped on all the time. Yeah,
There
it's,
again, that phrase, I am worthy, you are worthy. That's so important for us to remember we are worthy. Every single one of us. We are worthy. And when you say, to find an area of service or somewhere where we can be useful or good, it doesn't have to be a big thing, by the way. Some of the most helpful things that have been done in my life is for that person to come alongside of me and maybe not even say a word, but just sit with me for a while, when I'm feeling lonely and despondent and just depressed with all of life. I know that's true of you too, all of us. I think it's that smile from someone when we had no
yeah,
smile to give, that cup of coffee that was just given to us, and it's like, wow, that person didn't even know me and they paid for my cup of coffee. That's been done for me 2 times now, which isn't a lot, but both times really, really meant a lot to me, because I thought That person has
See,
no clue who I am.
I do the opposite. You know how the car pulls up and they're like, hey, I'm going to buy the coffee for the person behind me. I'm like, hey, the car behind me, they're paying for my coffee.
You're so bad. Charge them. Yeah.
Charge them
You're
double.
so bad. Let them feel.
They're going to bless me today.
Yes, that they're blessing me today. Jimmy's bad.
I should try
people.
that. Do you think that would work?
Start a whole movement here.
I did see a video where somebody did that. He was like, "Hey,
Did
the
it
car."
work?
Well,
not.
I think it actually was true because the worker looked really confused, and she opened the window and she's like, "I can't just let you drive away." And he's like, "Well, why not? They said they're paying for my food."
I'm laughing because life should be laughed. Some of life needs to be laughed at too.
So this worker she stuck her head out the window and she said, "Are you really paying for his stuff?" And the lady goes, "Yeah, I shouted out my window that I'd pay for his stuff."
That's so funny. It is.
So anyway, hopefully you guys find this helpful. We found it's critically important to think positive thoughts, and even when you don't feel like it.
Especially when we don't feel like it.
Especially when you don't feel like it.
I really think, we need to pick up something positive and read it. Pick up a book. Have so many things laying around you. I have to do that. You'll see little stacks of things all over my house that are positive affirmations, positive books, positive sayings, whatever. I need daily reminders to, keep my thoughts in check because it's too easy to let them slip down into that area where I start feeling really sorry for myself. And that's not a good place to be for any of us.
Definitely. So, thank you guys for tuning into this episode.
Have a good day.
Have a great
good
day.
Week. Yes.
Be the change. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
And as always, we'll catch you next episode.
Thanks again for listening to today's episode. A special thank you to our patrons who make this podcast possible. Please help us get the word out by searching for the Speaking Out on Sex Abuse podcast in your favorite podcast app. Be sure to hit subscribe and rate the show. Please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a patron and check out the rewards our patrons receive.